the one and only 125-pound phenom, Shorty Torres. Hi, Mr. Torres. How are you?
I'm great, man. I'm alive. How about yourself?
Alive? Just alive? You're clean shaven? You're smiling? You must be more than just alive.
Yeah, I decided to look pretty for once in my life. I was looking at old throwback photos. I was like, let's just do it once. And I'm getting all this backlash of people messaging me going, you should bring the beard back. I'm like, all right. Give me a couple weeks.
I do agree that the beard is a better look. How old are you, by the way, Jose?
I'm 26.
26. Did you do your tenure challenge on Instagram?
Yeah, I did my 10-year challenge, and it was funny because when I was a sophomore in high school, I had longer hair. I had the Bruce Lee bowl haircut, but the only problem is I have a big chin and a big head. So naturally, I'm trying to pick on the freshmen, but the freshmen are picking on me, calling me Lord Farquaad. So decided to make a meme about that and put that up. And like, well, might as well have some fun with it. But yeah, man, it's been pretty cool looking at old photos.
Let's talk about what happened with you. So you were in the UFC as of when? When did you move on from them?
So I was in the UFC for Utica, which was June 1st. So pretty much a month or around 10 days before that I got signed. And then my last fight was August 4th against Alex Perez. And it was the constant calls of Mick Maynard going, hey, when am I going to fight again? When am I going to fight again? Yeah, obviously I would like to take a break, but when am I going to fight again for a full 2-month training camp? Because if people don't know, I had 9-day notice and then 20-day notice in a 45-day span for the 2 fights. And then, oh, hey, you're going to be, fighting next year. You're going to be fighting next year. You're going to be fighting this date. And then I don't know, I was released, I think, in November.
All right. So you fought, again, Alex Perez on August 4th. How often were you in contact with matchmakers after that fight?
After that, I'd probably say maybe every 2 to 3 weeks trying to get something figured out and go, hey, I would like a full 2-month training camp, something to actually show what I'm able to do.
And when you asked for a 2-month training camp, what was their response generally?
Well, they go, hey, you just fought twice. We're going to move you to the back of the line just because, there's a bench of people waiting to, mainly flyweights, to get, their fights going. So he's like, we'll move you to the back of the line and we'll probably get you in November. All right, cool. We'll get you in December. All right, we'll get you sometime early next year. All right, we'll see whenever you're going to fight. And then when this whole Demetrius Johnson thing, got boasted out there, well, I wanted to take advantage of it. I had my own YouTube series. I put a video about it. And, well, I guess it was bad publicity to the UFC, and I was the first one released because of it.
Did they say that's why they released you?
No, but I was the first one kind of going, hey, I brought up the speculation video, but I'm not trying to say, am I right? But am I right? And they go, no, you're not right. And then the next week they call me back, okay, you are right. And the next week they call me back, you're released. It's like, oh, thanks.
Wow. Okay, so we spoke right when you got released. I think like the day you made it public that you got released. Did they say it had anything to do with your performance? You won one, you lost one. Did that play any role?
Well, the leeway out of the contracts are once you lose, they can technically cut you. I mean, look at Dustin Ortiz, look at all these guys being released by the UFC. Once they lose, they're out. So for me, the way they looked at it was they never even looked at my 135 performances. Again, I have 8 professional wins, 4 of them being at flyweight, 4 of them being at bantamweight, and 4 of them total, 2 and 2 in each weight class, have been title fights for Titan FC. They didn't look at my bantamweight record. So they go, your first fight, you technically got lucky, and your second fight, you got demolished by Alex Perez. And that's it. We're not going to give you another chance. It's like, oh, okay. And then now after that, I don't feel as bad because they're literally cutting people aren't fighting to fight anymore. They're fighting for the contract. So all the flyweights are literally being let go once they lose.
Okay. So since that time, who have you spoken to about this in terms of other promoters? Did you get a lot of interesting offers? A few ones? Like how has the market been?
So we talked to a bunch of promotions, KSW, Pancrase, ONE FC. I believe Ryzen was kind of itching a little bit there. We're trying to get to them. And then, for sure Brave, just because I do have a background with them with KHK MMA. Before they ended up starting the Brave promotion, which, people were Frankie Edgar, Khabib Nurmagomedov, Alex Soto, other UFC veterans. And yeah, man. So eventually I went to the World Championships in Bahrain and was able to talk to Sheikh Khalid, which is the prince of the country, and CEO Mohammed Shahid, and we ended up figuring out a deal then and there, and it ended up being 2 times better than the UFC, and literally respect-wise, I can say this is what I expected to be, and what to get to be in the best promotion in the world.
Okay, so tell me what it is. So you have officially signed a deal. What can you tell us about the terms of the deal?
Well, in terms of the deal, I'm definitely making more than what I did in the UFC, which is very unheard of, mainly for a person who, one, is coming off of loss, and UFC veterans are usually making a little less. But yeah, I'm a young athlete, and they see that, and they see what can really unfold with me. I was able to receive a signing bonus. I have a 4-fight contract. I'm pretty much fighting all over the world, and I am going to be signing a commentating deal with them as well because I am able to speak. I have commentated for them twice, and they see what they can what they can do with me. And I think that's really, really amazing.
All right, so 4-fight deal, more than you were making in UFC. Are you fighting flyweight and bantamweight?
Yeah, so I was given the offer to do that. And, my ultimate goal, if everything works out well, is repeat what I did in Titan. My first fight is at flyweight, which, I'm going to announce very, very soon. But my first fight is at flyweight. Hopefully, second fight is a title fight. Third fight, defend it. And fourth fight, bump up and see where it goes from there.
Yeah, do you know when you're going to be making your debut?
So my debut will be for Brave 22, March 15th in the Philippines in the Mall of Manila, which is huge for me because my favorite fighter is Manny Pacquiao, and rumor has it he is going to be there. And March 15th, I'll be fighting a guy, and I could be saying his name wrong, but Amir Albazi. He is 11-0, a Bellator veteran. He's beaten an IMUF World Championship in his last fight, so he is an undefeated upcoming prospect, and it's 11-0 versus 8-1. I mean, he technically has a better record than me, and it's a nice debut fight because again, there's no slouches in the promotion. At least at flyweight, everyone's trying to be the very first inaugural champ, and there's definitely some competition in there.
How did it make you feel? Before you talk about how great this deal is for you. When you first got cut, how worried were you about your fighting future?
I wouldn't say I was worried because again, I got cut at 26 years old. I know I have nothing but time. You look at Kyoji Horiguchi. He got cut very early, or he ended up leaving very early in his career, and now he's Ryzen's pretty much just Mayweather in a sense, and he's doing so many things. And there's so many other fighters that have done the same thing, moved to different promotions, and have still extremely succeeded very, very well. So for me, it was just trying to find the right home, and I believe for me, Brave was the right home. It was just it took time. It really was a struggle. It's stressful. One, to find out if you're going to fight again, when you're going to fight again. Oh, I'm released. When and who's going to sign me for what money, and I ended up finding the best deal possible.
And now with this deal, I mean, is this better than even you had hoped? Like when you think about what was realistically possible and what you ultimately signed, how close, how far apart are they?
So what I got with Brave now is what I expected in the UFC. You see the UFC is the biggest promotion in the world. They're the most popular promotion in the world. So you expect them to respect their fighters to the fullest and do this and be communicating with them and just keep everything in check. But it wasn't. For at least my experiences, I learned that we're just very, very expendable. And I see a lot of veterans, and I talk to a lot of guys that have been released by the UFC, and it's like, well, once you're in, that's it. They have you. If you have to fight, and you're not their Anderson Silva, you're not their champion, not their Brian Ortega, the guy that they're really trying to promote. Then that's it. You're just meat to the wolves. So for me, that's what I was. Again, 45 days, 2 fights, and I'd lose 26 and 28 pounds. They didn't care. It was either you fight, or that was my contract for August 4th. Either you fight now in 20 days time, you're probably not going to fight again until next year. And it's like, that's more than 4 to 6 months. And I don't know when next year is. I don't know if you're saying early next year, mid next year, at the end. So you're going to hold me for, my I got the basic contract. How long is that going to last me? I still have to pay my bills. I still have to do different things. I still have to now, in a sense, be an adult. So it was a struggle. But with Brave, I have no worry whatsoever, and I know I'm being taken care of very well.
Now, I have to ask one question about this. I just have to do my due diligence. It does sound like they care deeply for you, and this is going to be a great deal. It is tied to the Bahraini government, which does have some human rights issues. Any concern about being in business with them as a consequence?
Honestly, no, because I'm not a very political person. I don't know much about that. From what I see, I do talk to the Sheikh, I do talk to Mohammed Shahid, and I do talk to everyone involved in Brave and KHK. But for me, that's never come into my life. That's never come into my life. I'm not saying it's not a problem, but for me, this is not what I'm focusing on. I'm focusing on fighting and building my career, and that's just what's in front of me.
Any concerns? Not concerns exactly, but like you're going to be fighting in Manila. You'll probably be fighting in Bahrain. You'll probably be fighting in places outside of the U.S. Any concern about that in terms of building a brand as a U.S. entity?
For me, and this is something Brave is doing as well, is the U.S. market's already tapped. Everyone's really trying to get in here, and the opportunity is very, very little. But there's not many stars outside of the country. I mean, I went to Saudi Arabia, and we're in the mall in Saudi Arabia, just hanging out, doing the open workouts, and people already know my name before I'm even signed to the promotion or even publicly signed to the promotion. So it's a huge thing to finally, in a sense, why can, for example, Manny Pacquiao from the Philippines be a huge star in the U.S., but we can't be a huge star in the Philippines? So for me, it gives us a different market of, I don't want to just be known around the U.S. I want to be known around the world, mainly for being a two-time IMF world champion, now a seven-time, Titan FC defending champion. I want to be another, champion that for me is hopefully a two-division Brave champion. That's around the world. It is a global promotion, and that's the market I'm looking at.
I don't know what your views were on fighter unions before. Have they changed as a consequence of this process?
I wouldn't say they've changed completely, because I do believe there should be something more for fighters. The union is obviously very, very hard because fighters are expendable. We come and go. There are injuries constantly, and it's insurance wise and billing and all that stuff. It gets extremely complicated. But I do believe fighters easily should be paid more, because again, I fought once, defending or trying to win another belt for Titan FC, broke my hand, tore in my MCL. I wasn't able to fight for another 6 to 7 months. And what happens just in case if that fight ends up backing out, if that fighter ends up getting injured, then I have to wait possibly a few more months. So, the pay is very, very low for someone else's entertainment.
Hmm. What did you make, by the way, of how TJ Dillashaw looked down at 125? He made the cut, but the fight ended a little bit early. Obviously, the stoppage is somewhat in question. How did you view that whole thing?
It is a bummer. I think TJ looked phenomenal. Good for him, because he he was ripped going down to 125. I know he has a very, very phenomenal coach, which I sadly never got to meet. But training at the training lab and seeing what he's done and seeing his training when he was getting ready for Cody Garbrandt 1, he's a whole different athlete. And for Cejudo to be able to do that to him, I don't believe that's the weight cut. And TJ does get caught early. You see the Cody Garbrandt fight the first time. You even see the second time he was clipped a couple times, not dropped, but still hit a couple times. Cejudo just caught him, and the ref, I believe, stopped it a little too early. But again, it's fighter safety first. It's an unfair share of circumstances, but what's done is done, and I'm hoping they get a rematch at bantamweight.
Is it not weird that you have this moment where the best fighter the UFC's had in a long time leaves to go to one? They get this new flyweight champ who's bilingual, former Olympic champ. He beats the 135-pound champ, and there's still designs on closing it. It's like, what more could the flyweights do? I guess sell more tickets, but isn't it odd that at this moment of flyweight strength, it's being eroded?
Well, I wish they would have prolonged this a little bit instead of releasing all the flyweights now. Maybe they should have waited for the TJ Cejudo fight, and if Cejudo won, which he did, then possibly really rebuild and now get this new hype in the flyweight division. But they started it so early that even though Cejudo won, they've already cut more than 80% of the division. Oh, sorry guys, you can come on back. That's my bad. We're not going to close the division. It doesn't make sense for them. So for them, they're really just doing a process of elimination and still cutting as it goes. I believe Cejudo's a great champion. He's a phenomenal fighter, a gold medalist, like you said, bilingual. He's not a Conor McGregor. He's not a Colby Covington. He's not someone that's easily marketable when it comes to his own persona. That's the hardest part. I think, again, Cejudo's a great guy and he means well, but he is a different individual that he more speaks with his talent instead of, his mouth, like Conor McGregor and Colby and all those other guys.
Uh, but it sounds like what you're playing with your career is, I talk to a lot of guys that leave the UFC and they go, yeah, you know what? I might go back one day. Never know. You're still young. You never know where your life could take you. But when you think about a return to the UFC, is it even a real thought?
Honestly, right now, no. Again, I'm 26. I was just released. I'm in a new promotion, Brave, and that's the biggest venture I'm looking at right now. We'll see where time takes me. We'll see where the world takes me. But right now, when it comes to the UFC, it's more of not money, but it's respect. It's not just respecting myself, but respecting the fighters in general. And I just don't see that for mainly the flyweights of the smaller guys. And again, I've noticed if you're not their number one guy, if you're not the guy that they're trying to build up, then who cares? I mean, even look at Sage Northcutt. Sage Northcutt left with a positive record, but he still was released as well. And now he's making something big in ONE FC. And I think that's amazing for him as well.
So in the end, I don't know if it's good that the UFC got rid of their flyweight division, But if you are getting opportunities to make more money, to do commentary, to do events all over the world, on some level, I guess it is kind of good, right?
Oh, I mean, it's amazing what I have right now. I mean, I'm telling you what I'm receiving right now from Brave is something I expected from the most popular promotion in the world, which is the UFC. But that's not the case, and I've learned that even though UFC is on this pedestal, it's not the pinnacle of the sport. There's so many other promotions out there that can easily take care of you that much better. And for me, Brave is that promotion. And I mean, in only 2 years, I believe they're the fourth, if not third biggest promotion that have gone to 14 countries. I think the fights in the Philippines, there's 10 fights. All 10 fighters are from different countries. You know, they're extremely a global promotion. So they're not just going, hey, you're American, we're going to promote you in the US. No, they're going to the Philippines. Yeah, their main event is Filipino, but they literally have everyone. My guy is from London, from what I know. You know, so all these countries, it's literally country versus country and representing their own nations. It is in a sense, a bigger or more professional world championship sense.
Well, I got to tell you, I wish you nothing but the best of luck in the next chapter of your career. March 15th, right? By the way, how can folks watch the fight?
That one I know Brave does have their own online streaming service. I can't remember the actual website. It's like brave.tv something at the end. But overall, if anyone wants to look up Brave themselves, just type it in on Google, Brave CF. And I mean, all their info is on their website. Most of the time, it's either on YouTube or through a streaming service. And doesn't matter where you're at around the world, you're always able to rewatch it and just have fun and enjoy the fights.
Shorty, I appreciate your time. Wish you nothing but the best of luck in March, and I'm glad to hear you're doing well. Thank you so much.
Thanks, man. Hopefully next time I see you, I'll have my beard back.
Yes, me too.